The days passed and became weeks as Little Tree continued to grow and learn. One night, while he was sleeping, a great cloudburst of rain fell over the land. Water spilled over the hilltop as if dumped from giant buckets. Little Tree awoke with a start and was seized with panic. He could feel himself being torn from the earth by the rushing waters. He was still quite young, and his roots were not deep enough or strong enough to withstand the pulling and pushing of the torrents which swirled around him. Little Tree called frantically to his friend.
Help! Help! Friend Tree, please help me!
But the big tree was sleeping soundly. He enjoyed a good rainstorm, for he was big and strong, and the wind and rain were like a lullaby to him. A bellowing gust of wind swept over the hill and bent Little Tree almost to the ground. As he straightened up, he shouted once more with all his might.
Help!
This time his neighbor heard and looked down to see what was troubling his little friend. He recognized the danger at once. With two of his huge leafy arms, he quickly formed a canopy over Little Tree and protected him from the driving rain, which had been loosening all the dirt around his roots. When he finally caught his breath, Little Tree sighed with relief.
Boy, that was a close one.
Yes, I thought you were a goner for sure. Why, you turned as white as a birch tree.
I'm sure glad you were here.
Me too. That was really too close.
But now I know I can make it with you as my friend.
We are the best of friends, huh?
Yep, forever and ever.
Little Tree and his big friend talked into the night as the storm finally passed and the moon shone through the clouds once again. Through the years, Little Tree developed into a beautiful tree. Though he really wasn't such a little tree anymore, his friends still called him Little Tree, and the name seemed to stick. As he grew, Little Tree began to think more and more of what might happen to him when he reached the age when he would be of value as lumber. His big companion often talked of what he would like to become. His dream was to be made into an ox cart and travel around the country, drawn by a team of oxen or mules. Little Tree wasn't so sure he wanted to be cut down and made into anything, though.
Why can't we just stay here where we are?
Maybe we will. You see, I believe that our Creator has put everything here on earth for some useful purpose, even if we can't always tell just what that purpose is. Now, with you and I, maybe we're meant to just grow here and furnish a nice, shady resting place for men traveling along that road. Or perhaps we'll be cut down and made into something one day. But I do know we have some purpose in being here.
Little Tree was still not convinced that everything served a useful purpose.
I'd sure like to know what those pesky little bugs that always bother us are good for.
They bother us, but look at all the meals they furnish our friends the birds. God made the uggity bug so very small, no one could possibly ever count them all. Though we may be bugged and bitten by ticks and gnats and fleas, remember they're delicious to the bird communities. He made the birdies to fly above the trees. They like to swing on the early morning breeze. They can toot and tweet and twitter a very happy tune, especially in springtime when the flowers start to bloom. We're his creation, quite the sensation. When you remember that we came from God's imagination, he has a purpose for everything, from the bugs and the bees and the flowers and the trees to the birdies that like to sing. God made the heavens and earth in 7 days. All of the universe shows his mighty ways. With a bang and boom, by jingle, he made the land and sea. Then he was very careful when he thought of you and me. We're his creation, quite the sensation. When you remember that we came from God's imagination, he has a purpose for everything, from the bugs and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the fish and the seas and the mice and the cheese and the dogs and the fleas and the he's and the she's to the birdies that like to sing. We're his creation, quite the sensation. When you remember that we came from God's imagination, he has a purpose for everything.
Yeah, from the bugs and the bees,
and the flowers and trees,
and the fish and the seas,
and the mice and the cheese,
and the dogs and the fleas,
and the he's and the she's,
and the dust and the sneeze,
and the thanks and the please,
and the storm and the breeze,
and the elbows and
and
knees,
the doors and the keys,
and the fiddly-dees,
and the ABCs,
and the 1, 2, 3s,
and the hippopotamies,
and the chimpanzees, and the birdies that like to sing.
Big Tree, you know